All right, Tony Mormino here at the AHR Show 2024 in Chicago at the MGM Curb booth with Channing, my buddy.
That's right.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, nothing much, man. Good to have you guys.
Good.
So glad you guys
thanks for having us.
Yeah.
So first live show from AHR today. We're going to be doing this all day. So if you want to see some other amazing products, just leave my page open and I'll pop up in your face whenever we go live, and you can check that out. So thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So you guys make custom curbs.
We do.
Standard curbs, custom curbs.
Yes, sir.
Final filter curbs.
So my 15-second pitch, we're a sheet metal fabricator that has found our niche in HVAC.
Yeah.
So we build everything from your standard curbs to adapter curbs. We're showcasing a filter curb here today. It can be used.
So where's the filter?
So the filter is in here.
Nice.
MERV or HEPA filtered.
Can we pull it
so
out?
Depending on what the you can.
No, we're not
there should be a sliding
okay.
rack, but I think that one's stationary for the show.
So HEPA filter. So
that's sliding out.
I'll make this caveat too. If you're going to use one of these curbs, make sure you have a fan robust enough to push through the HEPA filter.
Right. Correct.
I think I've had that issue before.
Don't want to have CFM drops and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's all built in. I like that it looks like part of the unit. It's kind of seamless.
Correct.
What kind of applications do you typically see for that, Channing?
Typically, we see them more on hospitals. We see a lot of surgical centers.
Yeah.
Sometimes hotels with COVID and all that good stuff. There was a time where they were calling for those a little bit more than others, but typically right now we're sitting more in hospitals.
Right. And the reason why this is a big deal, if you're watching and you don't use a lot of HEPA final filters, is to get a packaged DX unit with a final filter HEPA in there is very, very expensive.
Correct.
It's almost a true custom unit.
Correct.
So these were...
So it could be a little cheaper to go this route than to actually add them into the unit.
Yeah.
We've actually seen some people that do them through both.
Yeah.
So it just kind of depends on what they want to do. So it takes the air in through the return, through the unit, down through our curb. And
my experience, this is the way to go. What I love about this too, and a lot of people don't realize this until they get one, is the serviceability of the unit.
Correct.
It's up in the air.
Correct.
Right? You're not crouching down.
Correct.
Getting into the unit, so
Correct.
It's super nice.
And for the show, we added another door here that can be used for storage. So you can store extra filters in there or anything else that you need for
Now,
future.
have you done that before? Is that new?
We have done it before, but we just did it for the show as well.
That's nice. So you can carry all your stuff.
All kinds of add-ons as well. You can do magnet heating gauges, dirty filter switches. We've put UV lights in them before, so we can.
So there's a UV light in here.
Correct. So everything is completely customizable per what the engineer calls for spec.
Okay. Paints.
Anything can be powder coated. So this is our Aeon Gray, and we see that a lot, especially for those types of applications, those buildings that want to be a little bit architecturally better.
Right.
So we can match it to the unit. Our wrap is a little greener than what we intended it to be, but typically it will match the unit. Yeah, it looks real good. Yeah, we're not playing favorites, but maybe we're playing favorites.
You can get another couple brands and put
them correct, exactly. The next thing we have is our vibration isolation rail.
Okay, so let's pause for just a second.
There.
So 2 pieces.
Correct.
Right. So you can
2
get
separate pieces.
This with a standard curve. You can get this without the vibration isolation rail.
They are 2 separate entities.
You actually set this first, and then you set this on top, and you set the unit on it. It's 3 different pieces.
It is. Actually, ours is more because when we build our filter curbs or our horizontal curbs, we have a base curb that goes in first. That's what's actually roofed in. Correct. And we actually did that for the show. We have a TPO membrane roof. It was actually roofed in just like it would be on the roof.
Oh, is it really?
It is.
Okay. We'll get some footage of that after.
Correct.
After we talk.
And then your horizontal or your filter curb sits on top of that.
Yeah.
And then on top of that would be your isolation rail.
So the people, if you're watching, you can't see, but this thing is like mega high quality.
Well, and that was
what's the gauge?
That was actually what I was about to point out. This is probably 14 gauged. What I was about to point out also is all of our products come factory welded and fully welded. So a lot of times, if you buy from another sheet metal fabricator, their isolation rails actually come in pieces that have to be assembled on the roof. Yeah, ours is fully installed. Springs are fully installed.
Competitors' rails will come.
Correct. They will come in pieces that have to be installed.
Yeah.
From our factory, our spring housings and the springs, we purchase specifically for the weight and the corner weight of that unit.
You get the submittals. You've done 1 million units.
And we set them from the factory, so it should be plug and play. The beauty of our ISO rails, though, is if there is an issue, maybe the corner weights are a little bit different, or maybe a fan or something was added or taken away that changes what was in the middle. It can be fully adjusted in the
Is that easy? Is it just these screws?
It is. So these screws will adjust how heavy or or loose that needs to be. Springs can even be taken out and replaced if need be.
If you needed a more robust spring.
And that can be done with the unit installed. So if you've already had a crane day where you've installed everything and then for some reason you're maybe having some balance issues, all of that can be done and adjusted with that still installed.
What is the reason you see vibration isolation rails? What's the telltale reason?
The main reason is because you don't want vibration getting into the building.
Right.
So this helps to alleviate any vibration that may come from the unit.
Is there a certain roof construction that
not
you look
necessarily,
for?
Not necessarily.
You just want to be safe.
But there are all the gas lines and things like that that are running off of the units. If there's vibration going into those, then it's going throughout the rest of the unit.
Right.
People don't like that. So
yeah, it's one of those issues too. It's hard to back up and correct.
Correct.
When you got the unit set.
So we offer 1, 2, and 3 inch standard deflection, so we can do whichever that needs to be.
When would you use 3/1?
Whenever the engineer calls for it.
Right.
So
yeah. In your opinion, is there any big advantage over 3/2? Or
there can be. It's going to give you a little bit more room for adjustment, but typically no. 1 inch is typically standard.
Yeah. And if you're going to put a unit on top of a spring rail, make sure there's not a lot of springs in the unit.
Correct.
Because it can do this kind of
correct
funky thing there. So okay, so tell me about these are really hardy panels too.
Correct.
Tell me about the insulation.
So our door, they are insulated.
And is that most of what you're doing today double wall? I know that it used to be an option, but it's like
it is.
I can't remember the time I didn't do a double wall.
Correct. So everything here is double wall. We don't have any insulation inside because typically that's why these are going to be called. You don't want fiberglass getting into the airstream.
Mm-hmm.
So typically it would either be double walled or we would get specific insulation that doesn't have fiberglass exposed.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so we talked about the curb. We talked about what else can you get on the curb? You can get cartridge filters. You can get HEPA filters.
Correct. MERV and HEPA are typically what we see.
HEPA. The unit's got some pre-filters in it.
Correct.
So HEPA's
if need be.
Correct. Okay. We talked about that. We talked about the rail. Now let's talk about the catwalk. Now, this doesn't look like you may not need a catwalk, but let me tell you, if you got a 50-ton unit,
correct,
you want a catwalk.
Correct.
You know, or you're getting on a ladder and you're leaning into the control panel and high voltage, it's very dangerous.
And depending on how this is assembled on the roof, how it's installed, if you have horizontal duct that's maybe coming out of the unit as opposed to being downflow, you can put the catwalk over top of that, so it helps whoever is servicing that unit later to be able to do it a little bit easier. And like you said, height also comes into factor as well.
Now talk to me, you got a bunch of stuff cantilevered off this
Correct.
curb. Talk to me about OSHA and like, how do I service this door if there's a big rail here,
Correct.
etc.
So what we are showcasing is our full cantilever design. So if you look around the bottom of our catwalk and our screen, there is nothing that actually touches the roof or penetrates the roof. That is huge for contractors and big for our customers because you don't want anything that's going to damage the membrane of that roof, cause leaks and big issues later.
Right.
So everything around this is cantilevered, no rooftop penetration. If you look at the bottom of our catwalk, this one is our cantilever, but we do also have freestanding options. So legs can actually come off of the end of our catwalk, and they do not penetrate the roof, but they sit on top of the roof. So it depends on which application that the customer requests, but we can do both.
Very nice. Okay, anything else about the catwalk before we talk about these blue architectural
louvers? You kind of mentioned OSHA, so we kind of go in some of the OSHA compliance. All of our handrails have cups that they sit in. They can be adjusted, so the handrail can be taken out. So sometimes, depending,
so if you want to take this door and swing it,
correct,
you can take this off.
Correct. So sometimes, depending on how the unit is designed, how much space there is, the handrail can be taken off to allow for the
viewers
to
can't
allow
see
for
this,
the doors.
But this is like a legit door.
It's solid.
This is solid.
Hey, we only build quality products, man. Push and twist. There you go.
I mean, that handle is nice.
Yeah.
And it's well gasketed because the HEPA section is pressurized. So.
Correct.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. No, it's quality.
I mean, these hinges are legit too.
We do offer for here. We showed stairs. I would say more often we just have a ladder, but it depends on what is spec'd or what the customer wants.
Right.
Our aluminum bar grating is a little bit lighter. We switched that a few years ago because it allows for snow to fall through and allows it to melt a little bit quicker. So depending on where you are in the country, that can be a big deal. Right. But our frame is made of steel and everything else is aluminum. So we're trying to cut a little bit of weight where we can.
Sure, yeah. Okay, very nice.
Now onto our screens. So screens, kind of a similar
First of all,
construction.
what kind of crazy nutcase doesn't want to see air conditioning on a roof?
Well, you know, there are those people, there are those sickos out there that don't like the look of it. I was actually laughing at your videos because I do the same thing with my family. Anytime we go somewhere and we're in a hotel and we pop open the window, I'm like, look, and so I start explaining all these different things, and my kids and my wife do not care.
They're
but I'm
so
like,
lucky to have
that's
us.
what exactly. That's what allows you guys to eat. So you need to love it as much as we do. So onto our screens. Our screens are very similar to our Catwalk as far as the framing is steel, but our panels are aluminum.
Yeah.
They can be powder coated, any color that Sherwin-Williams offers. So it's more of an architectural thing.
Very nice.
So, but they are very nice, very well built, just like everything else.
What's your demand for this kind of?
We have seen we've seen an uptick. So we've been specified by some engineers here in Chicago and in New York as well, and that's kind of where it started. But we sell a pretty good bit of them. Nice. But that is our goal, is to let people know that we build them, that we do, and we want to see some more. So a lot of times our customer doesn't necessarily want to include them, don't want that headache. So the contractor ends up dealing with it. So our goal is to get our customer to be like, hey, we can sell these, we can offer the full package deal.
I mean, the fact that it doesn't have to be attached to the roof, it's huge.
Correct.
You know?
Correct. That's a big selling point.
How many penetrations would you have for just this small unit?
It depends.
Maybe.
It just depends on how it's designed. This one's a little bit different because for the show we were trying to wrap it up and make it a little bit smaller.
Gotcha.
But
all right, so let's talk about this real quick. And then I didn't know you had the air rotation.
That's the big boy. I'm excited.
Let's talk about that first.
Let's go to it.
Okay.
Yeah. So several years ago, we started building. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Hey, if you're watching live, thank you so much. Streaming on our YouTube channel, HVAC TV, and it'll also be up on the podcast maybe later today, but for sure tomorrow. The Engineers HVAC podcast, and we're gonna be here all day doing this. Channing is our first guinea pig, so hope we're coming through all right. All right, so MGM, you tell me when you're ready, Heather. All right.
Perfect. So several years ago, we started manufacturing air rotation units, ARUs, or air turnover units.
So for people who don't know what this is, big warehouse, large air volume.
So essentially, if you're at a building or an application where rooftop units are not viable or cannot be used, correct. Yeah. These guys can pump out a ton of air, and they a little bit of a smaller footprint. They can be used indoors, outdoors. So it just kind of depends on what the. It's
generally in areas where it's not like office space and really high end areas.
An open area like this is where exactly. Because as you can see, those are the supplies up there. So they can either be ducted or non-ducted. So it just kind of depends on what they're looking for.
Nice.
This is the return section here. So air comes in, goes up through the coil, and then blown out.
Now, how long have you been making this?
So we've made them.
I know you kind of dabble in
six or so years, but we've really tried to fine tune it and make something that's more accessible to our customers. And so that's what we've done over the past year. So a little bit about that. Right now, we're only offering cooling in these. It's water cooled. So when air is brought in through the return, it goes over water cool and out.
So you gotta have a chill.
We are working on the heated side, but that's going to probably take us a little bit to get to.
Right.
We are offering 3 basic sizes, or cabinet sizes, that'll be based off of the CFM. And so there is going to be some sort of customization that customers can do depending on what they need. But for right now, we're kind of offering the 3 basics. This is what we've got. If it works for you, great. If not, we'll work with you as much as we can to change it up. And then in the future, we will continue to do that.
Very nice. So air's coming in here.
Correct.
There would be a filter here.
Correct.
And then blowing out the top.
Correct.
Or it could go out the top and distribute with ductwork or something like that.
And this one here would be more for an indoor design because there's no duct, but they can be outside with the duct that comes into the building.
Perfect.
But they are sweet. So we're hoping this will be a really good seller for us.
Yeah, that's very nice. Very high quality too. You can tell just looking at it. Okay, one more thing. Let's look at this here.
Yep.
We got a production pause.
Here, we'll do this. We can go to that side or?
A little closer?
Sorry.
Okay.
Like this close?
That's a prom shot.
Let's see. What if we do like one of these deals? Hey, thanks for watching on LinkedIn, by the way, if you're watching us. We're getting behind the scenes
as we change around. Yes, ma'am. About that.
Let us know when you're ready. All right.
Perfect.
So, guard dog.
Correct.
I think I could guess what this is for.
Correct.
Got
We
it.
want to keep people out of it. So it's mainly used for protection. So we have several different versions of this one, of these that can be built for any unit. We can build them, but typically you're going to see them more on your smaller units, whether they're 2 or 5 ton or maybe mini splits, things like that. But this is a new product for us. This ships from the factory, broken down, flat, and palletized.
Oh, nice.
And then can be assembled in the field. So everything here
Got it.
is either screwed, bolted, or fits together like a puzzle. But you're wanting to keep copper thieves out. It's all
right. It's all right.
Okay. We're wanting to keep people away from the unit. So
Hold on one second. You want me to turn it off?
I'll say it's like taking its own. It's like having a
Here,
mind
just-
of its own now.
Hold it like this.
Let's see.
Just hold it like that.
Ah,
Got it?
yeah.
Courtney's doing an amazing job. All right.
technology, you gotta love it.
So, go ahead. Sorry about that.
But yeah, that was pretty much the spiel. I mean,
Yeah. Keeps your unit from getting
it's
stolen.
correct. That's basically it. It keeps copper thieves out, things like that. So
Nice. All right. Channing, thank you very
Yes,
much
sir.
as usual.
yes, sir.
We'll see you again next year.
I appreciate it so
And
much.
Again, thanks for watching. Check it out on our YouTube channel. You're our practice one, so you're watching on LinkedIn. So thank you very much, and catch us on the next one here. Hold it like this. Hit the stop button. See, that should die out. So you got to hold it like
Thank
that.
you. I tried.
You're
I
going
told
like
you I wasn't
that.
quite warmed up yet.
And you're causing it to- there